right. Well, hello, YouTube. Welcome to Dark Tower Palaver again. And it has not been a fortnight.
I don't know why I'm here.
It hasn't even been a 7-night.
Has it been a night?
It's been a few days, but it hasn't been long enough for.
It hasn't been a full fortnight. Yeah.
No, it definitely has not been a fortnight. It's been half that. Well, fortnight was 14 nights,
Yeah.
so that's like 7 night, like
7 nights.
whatever it is.
Whatever.
But welcome. Thank you for joining us on a short notice. I threw a tweet out not too long ago. I guess also the slide I built, I forgot about the cameras, so we're kind of blocking the logo, but everyone knows what the logo says. It says Dark Tower Palaver. Are you in the chat then?
I'm in the chat, but I have my phone turned upside down, so nothing's spoiled for me.
Okay.
See, I'm not. I'm full head in the sand moment. So.
Yes, indeed, and that's why we're doing this. So let's go ahead and hit the intro. We're not going to do the full everything, but I at least want to get the badass intro played.
It's so awesome.
Let's go with that, and then we will dive right in.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland, to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the palaver begin. Boy.
And now I have to stop myself to not just immediately go into the normal spiel. But for the podcast side, this is Dark Tower Palaver. Although this is not normal. We're for people that aren't, or I guess if you're on the podcast, you may not realize, but it has not been a fortnight.
Nope.
So we're not here on
Go
a
ahead
normal
and introduce
thing.
yourself.
Yeah,
You forgot that part.
Yeah, my name's Tad.
I'm Peter.
And yes, we're here for an emergency episode. And
It's the first ever Head in Sand episode. Episode 1.
We had some
Oh,
emergencies
we have had some,
for the
we
movies.
have had some emergency ones before,
stuff.
haven't we?
Was it casting? I think was an emergency. I think wasn't like
Casting
a
and
day
set
or so
photos.
after we did after we did an episode like the
I came back like the next day.
Yeah. So we've done a couple.
Yeah.
But it's certainly rare.
Episode 3, we're just going to start calling it Head in Sand.
Yeah, and that's what it really comes down to. Got some people in the chat. Hello, Zach, Carol. Carol says she's between clients, so she may not be here, but she'll check back with us when she can.
Awesome.
But welcome, everyone. We are here. If you don't have your head in the sand like Peter, you probably know why. Now, Peter probably has some guesses.
No, okay, so I got a story for you and for our listeners as well.
Okay,
so this is what happened. Tad and I obviously work together. We've talked about that before. Tad works in the room next to me, and my phone goes off, and I look down, and it's Discord, and it's Tad, and I go, oh, it's usually pretty important when Tad throws something in our Patreon Discord channel that we have.
Yeah.
And so I pull it up, and all it says is, warning, spoilers, Peter, don't read. And then it has a bunch of blacked out text, like a CIA file, all blacked out. Like Reddit can do that, I know that.
Yeah.
And apparently you can do it on Discord, too. And I'm like, so I put in there, and I said, wait, so just to clear up, I'm not supposed to read this. And Tad goes, correct. Head in sand moment. And I go, got it. Sent a gif of a guy diving headfirst into the sand, went to my notifications, and muted it for 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
So if anyone talked about anything in the Discord, I saw nothing.
Okay.
So I get home from work about, what time is it? I don't want to look at my phone because I have
That's
the
6:30.
6:30. Okay. I get home from work about an hour and a half ago, right around 5 o'clock. And my wife, I text my wife when Tad told me that we had to record either tonight or tomorrow. We decided on tonight.
Yeah.
So I text my wife to let her know what's going on. I get home from work and she goes, so, you got to record with Tad, huh? And I go, why are you acting that way? And she goes, I know why you have to record. I was like, oh, man, come on.
But I imagine from our history,
She knew exactly what to search is what she said.
but here, I think from your perspective, there's probably only one of two things it could be. right?
It's one of
because we've never done an emergency for a new King book.
No.
So if it were a book, it would be a Dark Tower
that
book.
crossed my mind, and I'm like, okay, so
It'd be either a new Dark Tower book was
Right.
announced by King,
right,
or something adaptation wise.
but I had a darker thought. I'm like, if King passed away and Tad pulls me in for this,
Oh, dude.
if that happened, I would legit walk out and never talk to you again.
Can
That
you
would be
imagine?
so messed up.
Can you imagine?
That thought crossed my mind is that you're pulling me in here head and sand
That might
to
have-
tell me that Stephen King died.
There's no way you would. I mean, that'd be like you'd be getting news alerts and
I would stumble across that.
yeah, that's pretty big. But
So that's my story. So I'm here. So why am I
Yeah.
here?
Also, hello, Tim. He says finally figured out how to join the live. This is and he says
Hey.
Dark Tower Junkie here, which he's on the Twitter side. I know you don't see any of that.
No,
but,
I know, but welcome, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and then so let's go ahead and parse it here. We've got one of two options, right?
Okay.
So I mean, for everyone else, I'll change the slide. Peter can't see it. He doesn't have his laptop. This
Nope.
is very thrown together here. This isn't
Okay.
normal.
Okay.
We're both a little bit disheveled. And it is the headline is Mike Flanagan and Trevor Macy, which is his partner. He doesn't get a lot of press, but he's there. Reveal Dark Tower adaptation. in works at Intrepid. And then also there's some other headline shit about Netflix and Amazon and Midnight Club and all that. But it doesn't matter. But let's get into it. This is Nelly Andriva from Deadline on today, December 8th, 2022. A little excited there?
A little bit.
Okay, so let's and there's a little bit of tempering, but let's dive in here. So it says exclusive. This is a pivotal moment for Mike Flanagan and Trevor Macy's Intrepid Pictures, which the duo launched in 2004 after 6 years of creating and producing for Netflix, including the last 4 under an overall deal. The duo behind the Haunting TV franchise and Midnight Mass are moving to Amazon Studios. Additionally, they're taking on their most ambitious project to date, a screen adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Tower. Now, there's some other stuff. What I hate about some of these articles is they'll have an interview but like either right before the question or at the very beginning, they spoil everything that they say in the interview.
Okay.
So I'm skipping all that and I'm going straight to the question and answer portion. And it seems better that
Tad,
way.
thank you.
I've
Tad,
never understood that.
I don't say this much, but thank you. That is very good of you. Thank you.
I just don't get the writing, like why that's our
Yeah.
thing in writing. But because some of them do, Nelly here, she had done it where everything, she just has these couple paragraphs at the top that outline basically everything that's said and then gets to the interview. Some of them do that way. Some of them even do it where it's like, and then they said this, and this is, they synopsize, and then they show the question and answer below it. And I'm just like, you just told me everything that they're going to say. Why are you giving me?
It's probably this new age. Too long didn't read.
Yeah,
So
something.
they want it shorter, summarized, I guess.
Something.
But if you want that, put it at the end. So
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
let me read. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
let me hear it.
hello, Damien, as well. I got a couple new people that we haven't seen before. And then Tim also says having an issue with Peter's jersey. Go Raiders. Yeah, I guess we haven't.
I guess
I was about to say we've been pretty sports.
I had to look down at what I'm wearing. I forgot.
We've had to be pretty sports agnostic. We haven't had to, but I think we've been pretty sports agnostic on this show for the most part. But let's
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I am a Niners fan. Sorry.
go ahead and dive
I'm
in.
not
here.
apologizing.
Deadline says, speaking about projects based on well-known IP, is there something you have in the works in that area? Flanagan says, you are the first person we're saying this to, but yes. Predating our deal with Amazon, we acquired the rights to The Dark Tower.
How did we miss that?
He's only announcing it now.
But I mean, like it's not like something public. Like we can't know. Like
Until now, no.
oh,
So, and more gets revealed on that aspect. Which, if you know anything about me, you know it's been my holy grail project for most of my life. We actually have those rights carved out of our Amazon deal, which doesn't mean that they can't or won't get behind it at some point. You don't know. But that's something that we've developed ourselves and are really passionate about finally getting it up on its feet at some point. So basically, going into they pre-Amazon, they got the rights.
Okay.
And when they're negotiating it, we talked about in the last episode that it's an exclusive deal for TV.
Right.
Anything they do TV is going to be on Amazon. Now, movies, totally separate
Right.
thing. But they negotiated in the contract that Dark Tower is outside of that. So Amazon can be in the Dark Tower business, but if Amazon says no, Mr. Flanagan could go sell it to HBO or Netflix
Netflix
or Paramount, anyone.
Hulu or anyone.
Anyone. So that's an interesting and crucial
Ooh.
detail to the whole thing.
We're not just depending on Amazon anymore, because that's what.
And you can check the chat too as well.
Oh yeah, I guess I can pull up the chat now.
But that's just critical because.
What I was going to say is that's important, because one of the things that we saw people getting upset about in when the announcement was made that Flanagan was going to Amazon is that Amazon's already said no to the Dark Tower. And they're like, well, that means, like you said, that's the death of the Dark Tower adaptation. We're never going to get it now because Amazon's already said no.
Yeah.
And we talked about, well, Amazon said no to Glenn Mazzara's version of the Dark Tower and everything like that. So I'm going to try and fix this. It's not showing me chat.
Oh, okay. And John,
there it goes.
John popped in. Can't stick around, but excited for this. I'll watch as soon as I can. Welcome, and definitely, whenever you catch up. So next question.
So I'm looking down at my phone. I'm sorry, guys. I want to read your chat.
Next up, Deadline says, how far along are you in the development? Mike, have you shared your Dark Tower vision? Or, Mike, you have shared your Dark Tower vision in interviews, so you have at least a synopsis in mind. Are you planning to pitch the project around town? And then Flanagan says, I wrote a pilot. We view it as a series that's going to be at least 5 seasons.
Holy shit.
And having lived with this project as long as I have an enormous amount of it worked out in my brain. But I have a pilot script, and I'm thrilled with, and a very detailed outline for the first season and a broader outline for subsequent seasons. I think eventually, if we're able to get this going, there are some other writers I want to fold into the process whom I worked with before. I think they would be really fabulous for a very small, intimate writer's room where we can continue to break it. And he says, I'll tell you more than half my life. I've closed my eyes and been able to watch a lot of this play out. I've dreamed about this. That first shot, which comes right off at the very of the first incredible sentence of the first book, The Gunslinger. I've had that image rattling around in my head since I was an undergrad. It's going to have to get out there eventually. I need to get it out of my head. And he described that in that IGN interview where he's like, black screen, and then the opening line, and then basically open up to like a Lawrence of Arabia desert shot with a figure. And so that he explained that in that previous thing. The pilot, here's this could titillate you a little bit. The pilot script is one of my favorite things I've ever gotten to work on.
Holy shit.
It's been surreal working on that. So we're floored and grateful that Stephen King trusts us with such an undertaking, something so precious to him. We hope to find the right partners to realize it. So that is the only thing here. He does have the rights, but there is nobody financially behind it or bought into it yet. So all this really is that he has got the rights, and he's giving us some information here that
Netflix is baby, come back. Like
I feel like there was somewhere else. I can't remember who was here, but I feel like he had it worked out also with Netflix as well, because I think he signed it when he was still with Netflix. Or they got the rights when they were in the tail end of the Netflix agreement, but it was also carved out with Netflix where it's like, this doesn't belong to you.
No, like this is mine.
Yeah, this we can work with you, but it doesn't belong to you exclusively.
Damien says, long-time listener, first-time commenter. You guys are awesome, so thanks for that, Damien.
Thank you.
And then
got some awesome.
Dirty Mike is apparently Nord. He just died, and then Flag just revived him. So,
okay. So emojis. I like that.
He did the X out eye emoji and then heart emoji, like him reawakening, from death,
being brought back from a
to
wonderful person.
So Dirty Mike's a zombie, confirmed.
Okay, the next deadline says, have you had conversations with Stephen King about the Dark Tower over the years?
Yes.
And more recently, when you were acquiring the rights, have you discussed with him your plans for bringing the books to screen? And Flanagan says, absolutely. And this is the fun and critical part. He says, this happened because I sent him a very, very detailed outline of what I wanted to do. And it was in response to that he gave us the rights. So it came from King. So after everything happened with Mazzara and Amazon passed, the rights reverted to King. And he then owned the rights again.
And he gave them
based
to
on
Flanagan. Based off of the outline that he showed, detailed. He didn't give him a rough outline. He gave him a very detailed outline, and King's like, hell yeah, thumbs up.
And then he says, a project like this, I wouldn't want to be involved in it at all if it were taken in a direction that was going to be blasphemous to the Stephen King material. But he's been very, very supportive and very excited about what we'd like to do with it. So that's the chat's going crazy. I can see it out of the corner of my eye here. Captain Daveman says this almost seems too good to be true. I mean, this is what we've been hoping for how long now? So
Tim says, I hope it can get the House of Dragon or Rings of Power type of support and funding. Oh,
agreed. I agree, and honestly, I think that's really for me, it's HBO is the number one, but I think Amazon's number two, to be honest, because what Amazon has, and they actually talk about it in this interview. I skipped it, but they were asked about Amazon in general, and Flanagan was pretty speaking very lovingly about what he saw with Rings of Power and the amount of money and commitment that Amazon put into that. He's like, it's at a scale that I haven't really seen before in TV a lot. So I really do think outside of HBO, Amazon might be the best partner for this, because it really does seem like Amazon, if each of the streaming services kind of have their little niche, it seems to me theirs is like fantasy and high fantasy. So I really think it would make a lot of sense with them. So I'm kind of,
you know what, I'm gonna this is such fantastic news. I'm gonna say it. Emoji party in the chat.
So next up, Deadline says, initially, more than a decade ago, there was a grand plan for the Dark Tower to integrate film and TV, a film and TV universe. Is your adaptation strictly a TV series? Flanagan says, well, to be honest, the way that I've seen it break out is 5 seasons of television followed by 2 standalone features.
Excuse me, what?
Yes.
Wait.
5 seasons of television followed by 2 standalone features. And that's been a lot of conversation.
We're going to finish on the big screen?
Yeah, and there's been some debate online already today. People are questioning, maybe is it like Went Through the Keyhole and Little Sister Valuria type stuff in the movies. Personally, I think, no, you're doing the tail end of Book 7 on the big screen. Because I think
take Book 6 and Book 7 and just put that onto the big screen.
2 movies. I mean, because also, and one of the things I threw out both on Reddit and on Twitter is when it comes to CanCon Array, would you rather, if you're Mike Flanagan, do you want there to be a possibility that someone is out there watching it on their cell phone or even on their TV screen when it's CanCon Array and you see the Dark Tower and that field of roses? Or do you want it on a fucking IMAX
with how big
screen?
of a fan he is, he wants it on the IMAX, especially... Spoiler for the Dark Tower here. We didn't talk about this.
Oh, yeah, then we didn't say spoiler.
We didn't say spoiler. But I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to say it right here. Because you know what the ending should be of that fucking second movie? The man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed.
Oh, the second movie, yeah.
The end of the second movie is you see Roland starting off across the hard pan again, and then the text comes up exactly like it did at the start of the series.
Now, do you think that's
exactly?
Do you think that's the end of the movie, or do you think that's post credit?
I think that's the end of the movie. I think that's how you wrap up the movie to show that it is a cycle.
Yeah, but he has the horn, of course,
and he has the horn.
Now, is there a spot that it just stops and Mike Flanagan comes on screen? Now, everyone, if you want a happy ending, go ahead and walk out of the theater right now.
Have Stephen King do it. Have Stephen King sitting there in an armchair. Hi, I'm Stephen King. Thank you for watching The Dark Tower Part 2.
I mean, in those movies, or in those books, that last book especially, did it not feel like King was just sitting there reading the book to you? Because there were just times he just breaks from the story to break the fourth wall and just talk straight to the reader. So not even just that last moment where he's like, give up now, close the book. But there's other times like the tech corporation. He's like, this would actually probably be a good, good premise for another story, but that's probably a whole other novel type thing. Because we've always talked about that and Fall of Gilead being but it's so abrupt because it's that's not just the story. That's Stephen King as Stephen King turning to you as a reader and saying that, and it's just so it felt
no what that is what I picture that is like The Princess Bride, where he's reading you the story, and while he's reading you the story, you're into the story and everything like that, and then this is that moment where he puts the book down and goes, this isn't too scary for you, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But he doesn't do that earlier in the series. You don't really get that till the end, really. So it's interesting. But yeah,
I mean, you get little lines in there because he does say, is it the Dark Tower? I might be mixing this up for the Dark Tower, but I think there's a line in the Dark Tower somewhere where he goes, and then they passed from Martell. That's the last of we see them.
I mean, yeah, but I don't
but it's just like little throwaway lines.
To me, that's actually storytelling, though. Like there's those kind of things because that's like this straight Kingian thing, right? And that's the last time they ever saw each other. But to me, that's not talking to the reader as much as it's just
it literally says, and then he passed out of our tale.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different than, and they never saw each other. That's storytelling for me. But that's like them putting the book down and going, yeah, he's not in the rest of the book, by the way.
Yeah.
That's how I take it.
I will, huge credit to Rachel here in the chat. She says standalone seems key, and that's true. I actually did overlook that. A movie wrapping the series that you need to watch 50-plus hours of TV before it's understandable seems like it wouldn't be financially very successful.
Ooh,
so
that's a good point.
That is true. I mean, there was always talks of that with Game of Thrones, too, though. The original Game of Thrones series was allegedly going to have some theatrical elements to end the series.
If it takes off, let's be perfectly honest, if the Dark Tower takes off in any way kind of success, I trust Flanagan to be able to recap what happened in the series. Yeah. But also some people might say like, well, that cheapens the series. I don't need to watch it.
Yeah. So
I'll tell you right now, I'll be watching it.
But the standalone features is actually a very interesting interesting line there that I didn't really catch on to.
Do I finally get Jericho Hill?
I mean, so it could actually be with the Keyhole or some of those previous tales. Mm-hmm. And then also the rest of this answer, he says, but I think that our priority has to be trying to get the television side of it going first. We're not going to put the cart too far ahead of the horse on such a challenging project, but I think that that's a perfect way to do it. So that's interesting. Then Deadline says, are you a bit daunted by the fact that The Dark Tower is considered one of the hardest pieces of literature to adapt for screen? And Flanagan says, oh, of course. We're very aware of that. I think that we've had a good and incremental practice getting there because people said Gerald's Game was unfilmable. That was daunting. When Dr. Sleep came around, people were saying, oh, my God, all the projects to take on, why would you step in the crosshairs there? So I feel like we've been gently preparing ourselves for this along the way. But yes, none of that is lost on me. And then Macy chimes in and says, if you don't feel intimidated, then you're not doing it right. And then Flanagan says, yeah, you have to be intimidated by it in order to do it properly. I think that's absolutely right. So yeah, kind of interesting. And then Deadline says the Dark Tower MRC pilot was one of the first projects Amazon Studios head of television Vernon Sanders worked on after joining the studio. They ultimately passed on it, but it is clear that the company had an interest in the IP. Have you spoken to them about potentially pitching your adaptation to them? And Flanagan says, oh, sure. They're very aware of it. We're just at the very beginning of this new relationship. We're very careful to keep it carved out just in case. We would be fairly understanding of any institutional PTSD off of the other attempts that have been made adapting it over there. So we want to keep that separate, but they are absolutely aware of it, and if that's something that they would want to be interested in, we'd be thrilled. So yeah, and then the last bit here, while it's not part of the Amazon deal, you could collaborate with them on movies too. And then Flanagan says, I love that they put some of their features in theaters. I love what they've done with physical media. There's a lot that personally resonates with me quite a bit about how they do this. So that's like I said, there's some prognostications, some theories that we could draw from that. And
I mean, if you're going to be a pessimist about all this, is the fact that Flanagan's announcing that he wants to do it. Flanagan's announcing that he has the rights to do it.
Yeah,
but he has no funding. I mean, that's the big thing. Is like,
yeah,
I want to do this. I have the rights to do it, but I have no one to pay for it right now.
Yeah, he's got to sell it around.
That's the. Okay, let's be real. Let's take it down a notch. I was all excited. I grabbed my microphone. I'm freaking out over here and everything like that. I'm shaking, dude. Like, I'm so excited for Flanagan to get the chance to do it. But I understand that this is going to be years in the making, probably. Yeah. We're not going to see this in 2023. We're not going to see this in 2024.
2024 is a possibility.
I don't, dude, it's December. Yeah. Dude, you're talking about a year.
If they got to lock down in the next, 4 to 8 weeks, there is a possibility that it could be Christmas season of 2024. Certainly. But no, you're right. I mean,
my gosh, dude. Dirty Mike makes a good point. We got to start talking about casting, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Cancel the book club. Throw the book club out. 2 episodes. We got to talk about casting. We got to talk about what we want to see in the show. Oh my god! I can't wait 2 weeks to talk about that.
I'm not. So here's my thought. I wanted to break it here. So the one of the main reasons I want to do the emergency thing is because literally I don't think there's a way that you're not going to run into this news
by the end of the year.
The book. Yeah, exactly. The 31st. The next time we have we have a book club is next week.
Yes.
Because I've seen this on Reddit. on the book subreddit, on the horror subreddit, on the television subreddit, on the Dark Tower subreddit, on the Stephen King subreddit. I know you're not on all of those, but I know you're at least on one of those.
I am on movies.
So it wasn't on movie, but television.
Oh.
Because it's a TV show. So, that so I was just like, there's no way that he's going to go. And then like, I'm seeing on every fucking movie thing imaginable on the internet. So I'm just like, there is no way that this is going to keep with Peter not knowing anything for what, another 3.5 weeks?
Mark, we are very well. Thank you. I appreciate that, but I am...
Also, I'm blanking on his name, but the dude that played the sheriff in Midnight Mass tweeted it and said, sometimes really good things happen in Hollywood, and whatever. And someone, I think it was actually Chris from Australia, tweeted at him.
The sheriff in
Midnight Mass.
Oh, he needs to be in the Dark Tower.
Yeah, I know.
He needs to be in the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
Who's he gonna play? Who else?
He could be Roland.
We gotta get Roland. We got to get
Eddie.
Susanna. We got to get Eddie. We got to know who Eddie is. Flanagan shared that video of working with Aaron Paul. That's absolutely who's going to be Eddie.
But here's the other thing. There's that younger guy that he hyped up that he used in Midnight Club. I think he's the main character, and I think he's got a big role for him in Fall of the House of Usher. And he's talked about how he thinks that he's like going to be a massive star in the future, and he really wants to work with him a bit. So that's resonating in my head a little bit because he did mention that. I haven't seen Midnight Club yet, so I don't know, but he's a younger guy. If you did want to go Eddie Younger, that might be the route. What if Aaron Paul was Henry? Smaller role.
Oh.
We know that he can do a blitzed out drug addict.
Yes,
He's done that.
Tim, we need to clarify that for Tim. I wonder about when production could begin. Outside of procuring funds, Amazon might have expectations on delivery of content per their contract. That's also true because that just started as their new contract.
On December 1st.
Yeah, so that just barely started. He hasn't even done anything for Amazon.
Yeah.
And now is announcing this pet project that he's always wanted to do. Amazon might be, you need to deliver something to us first.
I really think that Amazon is where this is going to be, dude.
You think that Amazon's like?
I think
you think that it's like a handshake deal, not in the contract and everything like that. That they're like, we want you to come work for us. We're going to pay you this much. We want you to make television, not movies, but you can still make movies, and we'll see if we're interested in that.
Yeah.
But we want you to make television. He goes, hey, by the way, my dream project is the Dark Tower. I know you guys had a bad experience with that, and there's been a less than stellar movie that didn't make a lot of money, but I have a 5-season outline. I have approval from Stephen King. I just got the rights. What do you think? Amazon's probably like, let's not put it in the contract, but yeah, sure, you can make your pet project and then make me loads of money.
Yeah, I just have a feeling that he would have that somewhere in his negotiations, at least mentioning it. Not that he has it all worked out with Amazon, but I just feel like as they're developing it, I just don't think that he doesn't mention it to them. And I don't know, it's just, there's a gut feeling to me that they just signed this big exclusive deal. This isn't included in the deal, but if you're investing in Mike Flanagan, do you really want, it's kind of like the sports thing, right?
Yeah.
What if he goes and does this for HBO and it's the next Game of Thrones,
right?
And you are one of those studios that said no, and you have
an exclusive
with
deal
every
with
other
him.
Everything. Yeah, I feel like
it's got to be on Amazon.
Honestly, I'll be shocked if it's not Amazon.
Okay.
Really, that's no inside information. That's just my gut check. I do not think that it will be anyone other than Amazon.
Yeah,
it fits their MO with the Wheel of Time, with the boys, with Lord of the Rings. Like they're going for kind of that sci-fi fantasy. That's kind of the realm that they're really that's their niche really when it comes to content. Everyone kind of has their thing. Paramount has Jamie Sheridan, or no, not Jamie Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan. Jamie Sheridan's Randall Flagg from the original series, which he's a good man.
No,
stop
Flagg.
it.
Stop it.
But then you've got like, I don't know about Hulu is just the Fox thing.
Mm-hmm.
The FX shows, like there's that kind of that hard gritty FX vibe
which is basically owned by Disney now, and we have Disney Plus.
So everyone kind of has their thing,
and
I just feel like Amazon fits the most closely to this, except for HBO.
Game of Thrones.
And HBO. Yeah, HBO's the only other one that really feels like they could fit with it. So, but ultimately, yes, there is always that, bucket of cold water a little bit where it's like, let's just realize here, this is just that he's got the rights and he's got to sell this now. I don't know. I'm excited. This is the first good news we've had since, when was the cancellation? That was the first episode of 1 year. Was it 2019?
2020.
Was it 2020? I remember it was the very, very
'Cause
first episode.
it was like everything with
it
COVID,
broke.
right?
It broke.
Or was it 2021?
No, it wasn't. It was longer ago than that. I was gonna look it up, but when it was announced that Amazon was passing on Mazara's, like I feel like that was the early 2019. But either way, it's been years. We really haven't had any good news. I mean, yes, we've kind of geeked ourselves out a little bit over the last probably 6 or 8 months with the Flanagan talk, because I mean, I think he's kind of prodded a little bit.
He kept dropping little things, here and there, like, man, I really want to do this project. A lot of stuff that came up in this interview and everything, where he's like, man, I really want to do this. I have the opening scene. I remember you telling me about that on the show, and it just. Oh.
I didn't even tell you. I played the audio. We played the straight audio from Mr. Flanagan on that.
Yeah,
so.
And I'm just like,
And maybe I'll find
look it to my veins.
Maybe I'll get those sound clips ready again for the year-end bash, and I'll have those to play. Yeah. And I really think the year-end bash is where we need to talk really heavy on casting. I mean, for this,
we're still doing a book club. You're making me wait until the 31st of December.
Isn't that a perfect way to ring the year out? Is because like a couple years back, the first one of the year was like Amazon passes on Mazara's. So isn't it just pick like the absolute
year-end
perfect
bash,
thing for year-end bash?
Let's have a party and talk about casting.
Just
and stuff
everything,
like that.
everything about it. I mean, this is just their initial knee-jerk reactions. Five seasons. So how do you think that breaks out? Just initial, like we don't have to go in depth, but what do you think? 5 seasons. What does that look like?
Yeah.
Book 1 and 2 for first season. Book 3 for season 2.
Oh, you're wanting me to answer?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, now.
I thought you were telling me to think about it and save it for the year-end bash.
No.
Okay.
You're just knee-jerk reactions down. I don't want to. I don't want to go super deep right now because this is just an emergency episode, and I don't think we have like a 3-hour episode in this right now. We both just got off a 10-hour shift, so. But just initial knee-jerk reactions. We got your ultimate reaction of hearing the news, but now let's just talk. Like, what do you think 5 seasons looks like?
I think you end in the middle of book 2. I think cliffhanger-wise, you end with finding out that Odetta and Detta exist. I think that would be a great cliffhanger as you stop right there.
Okay.
Then season 2 and 3 is the rest of book 2 all the way to Blaine. Maybe the end of season 2 is the
Blaine.
The end of season 2.
Oh.
End of season 3 would be Blaine. End of season 2 would be the drawing of Jake. And you don't have to do it as a cliffhanger. You can actually get him through and I'll never let you drop again. And that's the end of the season. And then it's like, hey, oh my God, they're all together. And then season 3 is...
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Rachel reminded me. That's the other reason I brought that kid up that Flanagan's all talking all the hype about is because, remember, he's the one that said he was in the book club with Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel. And they had him read The Dark Tower in their book club. So that's the other reason I'm bringing him up.
Flanagan did that book club on purpose. He knew what he was doing.
I think he might be... Because what else? Who else would he play? I don't think he's young enough for Jake. I think
Flanagan's a Sith Lord. All this planning and scheming and everything like that. All the stuff moving behind the scenes that we weren't aware of.
Yeah,
we're the Jedi. And we're getting blindsided right now. I'm Mace Windu. I just got launched out a window.
But yes, thank you, Rachel, because that was the other part. Because there was something about the way that we were hearing about that kid, the way Flanagan hyped him up. The fact that Rachel just reminded me. They also had him read the Dark Tower series. I just kind of feel like he might be one that they've got their finger on as like, we want this kid involved. And I just think that I don't even know, but I'm guessing he's probably too old for Jake. I think he played kind of an older teenager in Midnight Club, and that's been a little bit now. It's been a year or so since they filmed it, probably.
So he's already getting towards the age where Eddie's a young 20-something.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be 23. He can be 21.
Yeah, he can even be fucking 18, 19. When you're young and dumb, that's when you're doing like trying to smuggle on a fucking airplane, right?
Age down Susanna too. She doesn't have to be like, what do we figure out she is, like
in
late
her 30s? Yeah,
late 30s. Age her down a little bit too. Make her early 30s or late 20s. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but 5 seasons. Do you think that feels right?
Because
I think
I just got thinking about it
because we've always talked
about
about
Blaine at the end of season 3. That leaves
only 2 more seasons. I don't know.
That leaves 2 seasons for Wizard and Glass.
I think
you're
stretching it out too far.
And the Dark Tower. I think you're right.
Here's the thing. I think book 1 and 2 is a season.
It's easy
and I think you cut in some Gilead Roland stuff in there. His trial, some of the stuff that you see in book 1, show some of that there.
What about if you do this? First 2 episodes. Hear me out. First episode. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. I'm going to call it the Flanagan opening. That is the new name for it. Okay, the Flanagan opening happens. That way, I don't have to keep saying it over and over.
And
again.
do we think we get that line at the opening of every episode, or is that just the first episode?
I think it should just be the first episode. I think we should have a title card like the Dark Tower series or whatever, whatever they're going to call it.
It's got to be a horn in there, right?
That'd be cool. But it opens with that the Flanagan opening and everything like that.
And
then,
Alan just corrects you. That's the King opening.
No, I'm talking. The King opening is I can see it if I close my eyes. The Flanagan opening is my eyes are open and I'm watching it on the screen. There's a difference there between the two. King's opening is only in my head. So we have the opening, and then we go through Toll, and what happens is right when Jake drops. Or no, that wouldn't work. Never mind.
I think 1 and 2 are a perfect amount.
I was trying to think of a
information
way
for
that he
seasons.
could do like flashback, like he's on the beach hallucinating, and he's flashing back, and we get book 1 that way. But if we're opening with book 1, we got to stay with it. We can't do that.
And the other thing is he talked about in those audio clips that we played that he wants it to be just the books. Well, part of the books is the opening is flashbacks of flashbacks of flashbacks.
Right.
So it's like, does Flanagan then
Just
build
go
it
one
in
more.
that way where it
Just
keeps
one more.
it keeps Inception back, flashbacking?
Flashback to where Roland is.
Just keep going. Exactly.
Inception.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
Hey, what is Tom Hardy up to anyway? I mean, we
think
could get him in this.
I think 5 seasons. I think we've always chalked it probably about 6 because I think book 1 and 2 we've always thought you could combine. Then the rest of the books I think could be full seasons. But he's talking 5 seasons and then 2 feature films. But he does say standalone, so it could be different things. But
Tim makes a good point. Wizard and Glass Major Stuff could be a spin-off series with different cast and crew that could be built in tandem. That is absolutely true. That we could get that separate. That could also be.
I don't know.
That could
so
also
critical to the story. Because that's the ultimate reveal of Roland's core, right? I mean, honestly, I don't know how. I mean, I liked Roland and I sided with Roland, but I don't think I really loved Roland until book 4
When you
because
saw the
suddenly I understood like way more about who he was.
not just losing Susan.
Yeah,
But also the fact
his
that
mom,
Rhea tricked him into murdering his mother.
Yeah, and then like seeing the tower through the freaking grapefruit and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that really endeared him to me. So I don't think that now I see what you're saying, but I do think that they've got to be tied in more so than a spin-off series. Like I think like Mazzara's idea of a spin-off series for like Father Callahan. I think that would make sense. But Roland's backstory, I don't know if that could be a spin-off. For me, I could be wrong, but that just feels so critical to the story.
See, I wonder because the chat's also mentioning it as well, is that Amazon already had Wizard and Glass and said no.
Yeah, but
So-
I think also starting there, right?
Is what the problem is?
Yeah, because there's some stuff with like Game of Thrones that happens later in the series that I'm sure HBO would have said "fuck you" if they tried to pitch that as the very first things they did.
Yeah.
But when you've got by that point a couple seasons under your belt,
Millions of fans
invested watching, hopefully high numbers
you can
and stuff.
basically do whatever you want.
People love these characters. Now suddenly when you're flashing back and telling Roland's backstory, I think you've got people hooked. Because I ultimately think, because somebody did mention Amazon, Tim says, I think Amazon balked at the cost for the previous adaptations with all the money spent on Ring of Power and Wheel of Time. If they get the other producers to cover funding, Amazon would be willing to host it. And I think that's another possibility. You could always have, because there is splits, right? Like Breaking Bad, yes, everyone talked about AMC, but everyone needs to also realize that Sony was behind Breaking Bad as well. Yeah. So it's Sony and AMC that created. When I put in my DVDs and Blu-rays for Breaking Bad, Sony's logo comes up, not AMC's. Yeah. So there is always that possibility, but also pointing out the idea of cost. The other thing, I don't know if it's as much cost, but honestly, I think that starting with book 4 is way more Western, and I just wonder if, because again,
Western has that stigma.
Western has
it.
the stigma right now. It is not.
It's the two genres that have the stigma against it. You don't start with the horror elements, and you don't start with the Western elements. You don't.
I mean,
but Flanagan is going to be starting with Western elements.
Oh, a bit.
But
I think it feels more post-apocalyptic when you start with Gunslinger.
That's the difference there, is that it will feel more post-apocalyptic than just a straight Western. Kind of like Book of Eli.
Yeah.
Which felt more, oh gosh, what happened here, versus Yeah, where's my cowboy? Where's my horse? Where's my cattle?
Yeah, it just feels like with everything we've seen from the Mazzara pilot, I really think it probably felt very Western, and I don't know. Ultimately,
well, I mean, we saw the set and the costumes and stuff like that. Absolutely, it
felt super Western, and that's just
it felt like it should have Clint Eastwood and John Wayne in it.
Yeah. So, and then again, it's not even to badmouth that. That's just to say that's what it is.
That's what it was.
That could be a big part of maybe why Amazon said no. Also, it could have been even just a timing thing. Yes, Ring of Power, and they spent damn near $1 billion, all things told, between gaining the rights and then all the money they put into the first season. They were damn near clocking $1 billion
for just Ring of Power. That doesn't even include Wheel of Time that they also
and then Wheel of Time they spent a lot of money
Yeah.
on. So there's a lot of money invested. It could have even just been a thing where it's just like
they're still making The Boys, which is a high cost show because of all the CGI and everything in it. Well, that one does already have fans. These were new shows that always. You've explained this to me before.
Yeah.
A new show, season 1, costs more than if a show is in its 11th season.
Yeah, because they're
reusing costumes at that point, reusing sets, props.
Yeah. Like Game of Thrones,
even.
the pilot for Game of Thrones, every costume had to be created. Every set for King's Landing.
You had to contract with the horses and the carriages, all of that.
All that stuff that then
you had to pay the actors.
Once you have that, that throne room scene built, and you paid for that in season 1, guess what? The rest of the series, you could use that set.
Use that whenever you want.
So, yes, the first episode's always going to be more expensive. But it could have even just been a timing thing that, Mazzara, it also, let's be honest, we are trying to be as positive as possible, but it could have even just been that what Mazzara was selling them, it sounds good to us as fans. It sounded good with everything we heard. It may not have sounded good to Amazon.
Especially since they may have had the bad taste of the movie in their mouth.
It was closer to the movie.
It may have been too close to the movie where they're just like, this one didn't do well. Why do you think this is going to do well? You know what? We got these 2 high-profile things over here that we're dealing with. No thanks.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's the wrong time. It's like if you get some sale you see at some store for something you really want, but maybe you just bought a car or something and you're kind of financially tied a little bit more than you may otherwise be.
I'll give you a perfect example.
That it's just like, if this is 6 months ago, I would buy that right now, but I can't right now.
I will give you a perfect example of that happening to me 2 weeks ago today. Is that Steam started their Black Friday sale on Thanksgiving, and I was set to go on vacation. I went,
not even going to look.
These are some great deals.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to entertain the thought because I'm going on vacation next week. I'm not even going to entertain the thought of spending money on a video game right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about. Is I had that.
Yeah.
And I had to
So it could have been that for Amazon as well.
I got to read you this in the chat.
Yeah.
Tim says, post-apocalyptic like Mad Max or The Walking Dead. Andrew Lincoln for Roland. Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead.
I mean, maybe.
He's got the scruff. He's got the.
I think overall, I do want to save Dreamcasting because I think I've got to process. I mean,
dude, we got to go through this. You've had time to process this.
Yeah.
This was dropped on me a half hour ago.
I know. I've been digging this stuff all day. And talking to people online and stuff and just reveling. Yeah, it's new to Peter, but I don't want to, ultimately, I don't think either of us have a full episode in us, so I want to save some of the stuff for the year-end bash, and I think we'll go in deeper there. Talk about Dreamcasting, talk about
there's
whatever.
Dreamcasting, and then there's guessing.
Yeah. And then Dirty Michael says, Wizard and Glass is one of the best books in the series. It would be a shame not to see that not to see that fall through as a season. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, dude, there's people that say that Wizard and Glass is not only the favorite Dark Tower book, but their favorite Stephen King book.
This is true.
So it's like, I really think that's one of the strongest elements of the series in a lot of ways. So,
dude, could you imagine a season just dedicated to the Kala? I know it's my favorite book, so I'm obviously thinking about that. But but dude, Magnificent Seven vibes up the freaking wazoo. The Sisters of Ariza.
Yeah.
You have Andy the Robot's betrayal, Betty Slightman's betrayal.
Yeah.
That is so much drama and everything like that.
Andy the Robot, your homeboy there.
I don't like robots. I don't. And then I'm just
and the other thing is 6 won't be a full season.
6 would not be a full season.
Honestly,
but what you would do is you'd probably take 6 and honestly I'd attach it to 5.
Yeah.
Like the cliffhanger in 5 honestly shouldn't be there. The cliffhanger should be them walking into the Dixie Pig. Could you imagine that as a season cliffhanger?
Yeah.
And we come back in season 7 and we have to do the birth of Mordred, Jake and Callahan entering the Dixie Pig.
Dixie Pig. Good old long pork there.
Oof, yeah. Yucky.
Shaking hands,
as our friend Hayden says, yucky.
Let's see. And then let's see. Love Wizard and Glass. Tim says, I meant that because it was young actors. It could be made in tandem and played between the events of Wastelands and Wolves. And I think that's the other thing too. Is I think you could potentially carve up book 4 and play it, like cut it into the rest of it a little bit. But I just feel like you may lose some of the narrative of that story if it's chopped up too much.
Yeah.
I think some of Roland's backstory I would like to see chopped up and just dispersed throughout. Like in book 1, there's flashbacks of Roland's past that you see. Not everything, but you see some flashbacks, and I would like to see that. And the other thing too is you could always just grab a young actor to play that Roland, and then it might be a couple years before he comes back to play a full season's worth. But at that point, he'll age up. But guess what? Roland aged a little bit.
Sure did.
So it's like
the first stuff you see in book 1 is 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old Roland.
Young, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention that new Game of Thrones show has kind of thrown it out there that, hey, you can recast a few times.
Or, hear me out, we just do a full season of flashback, and all that gets put in there with Wizard and Glass to flesh out the season.
Yeah. Dirty Mike says Mark Hamill is the voice of Andy.
No, he's Blaine.
Unless
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry is recovered.
Big Blaine is Tim Curry. Mark Hamill is Little Blaine.
Little Blaine, yeah. I think Andy, you've got to go Anthony Daniels.
C-3PO.
Right? Don't you? Don't you have to? Dude,
no.
that would be amazing.
If we're going to do anyone as a robot, we're going to do Alan Tudyk.
I don't know, man. I think
you are being rescued. Please do not resist.
I think Anthony Daniels would be
no,
badass.
Alan Tudyk absolutely should play Andy the robot.
Now we're getting into it a little bit.
Yeah, we got to stop. We got to stop casting.
Let's see. And then Alan says 6 that is a story that starts when Susanna knows she's pregnant. That can start throughout. Andy Tudyk is a gem. Yeah,
no, I like Alan Tudy. I'm gonna call him that from now on.
Yeah,
just to upset my wife. She loves that guy.
But yeah, no, there's been a lot of obviously talk online. I think a lot of people are fixating on the movie aspect, what that could be. Also, he just popped up on my Twitter. It's Rahul Kohli.
Yeah,
is the sheriff from Midnight Mass. Yeah, he tweeted something. I'm like,
he is
so
cool.
Sign him up for Roland. Dude, he was a badass.
Dude, you want him to be Roland?
I think he could. I think he could hack
he old
it, dude.
Enough?
I mean,
does it matter?
Yeah.
Is that
if you've got a good enough actor, man, I actually don't know how old he is.
Doesn't matter.
Did he ever feel like too young to be sheriff?
No.
That's the thing, is I don't think he feels like necessarily young. Like, I don't need a 50-year-old Roland. Now, I think you could get away with a 50-year-old Roland, but I don't think you need it. I think Roland, you just can't look at Roland and think, oh, that kid just graduated 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, whatever.
That's younger than me.
Yeah, that's the only thing you got to avoid with Roland. I think Roland could fit anywhere from like mid-30s through 50-something probably and be fine.
Alan says he stands by Viggo Mortensen, and I'm like, have you seen a recent picture of Viggo Mortensen? I haven't. So I'm just curious what he's been up to. Has he been? He hasn't been in anything since History of Violence, has he?
I think he's done a few things.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't seen anything with him, so I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll throw this one out there for the chat just for fun. So which character is Sean Bean going to play and die?
Why?
Because he always dies.
Yeah, I know he always dies, but he's not attached to Mike Flanagan or anything.
I don't know, but
we
have people that
Henry
die.
Henry Thomas on the other.
No, see, that's getting into casting.
Or Kate Siegel.
Sean Bean is just for fun. If we're going to have Sean Bean in the series and he has to play a character that dies, who are you going to have him as? It's just a fun little thing. It's not a serious casting. We're saving that for the year-end bash.
You know what I'll do is I'll get slides for all the Flanagan regulars.
There we go.
And we'll pull the slides up for the year-end bash. Okay, who's this person?
Who do you have this person as? I want that finished this weekend. I want it sent over to me so I can do my homework and decide who I'm going to cast them as.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah. You're joking. I'm serious.
No, I'm serious too,
Okay.
because Flanagan is outside of, we just realized not too long ago, Dr. Sleep doesn't have Kate Siegel.
Oh, Alan says Viggo Mortensen is 64, so yeah. That's smidge up there.
So overall,
I mean, we could just have Clint Eastwood do it.
Are you happy that we did this? And because
yes.
I was debating, I'm like, maybe we'll just hope that he doesn't hear anything. We'll save it for the 31st.
I would have heard him. You know what? I'll tell you what. I will post.
And if you hadn't heard about it, imagine if we get to the 31st. Like, oh yeah, back on the 8th, they announced this.
I would strangle you. I would legit come over this desk and take you out.
On the 8th, dude, I could just see you just freaking out. The 8th? That was how many?
You haven't told me?
Yeah, but yeah, you have to let me. You have to track it and tell me the first time you see a headline. That's what you should do.
I'm going
between
to.
between now and then.
And then I'll have you posted on all the social media.
Because the other thing I thought about was like, maybe just boot the book club, but I do want to hold the book clubs a bit, and also ultimately
it gives us time to properly digest and start thinking about casting and show outlines and different things that we want to discuss.
Yeah.
So we're just basically throwing everything out for the year-end bash. We're talking about this, right?
I mean, I doubt there's going to be much else that we're
Right.
going to. The other thing we have to talk about too is if it does get picked up or when it gets picked up, if we want to
There
be
you go.
positive thinking.
There you go.
Again, I've mentioned it before. What does that change about the podcast? If it's a weekly release, we might have to do weekly podcasts for 10 to 13 weeks.
Well, yeah.
I mean, because we can't
Watch
wait.
parties.
Yeah, we can't wait.
You can
Like,
do watch parties online now, can't you?
some have them built in. I don't
Yeah.
remember which ones, but there's some that have them built in. I think maybe even Amazon might have them built in. Yeah, but overall, hopefully everyone's excited. I'm glad we were able to get this put together. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to.
Oh, Alan, I agree. He says, laugh my ass off. It's hard not to get excited, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Dad can attest. I'm over here like freaking bouncing and
yeah.
everything like that. Like it's
And that's what I've been all day, and I've just been like,
Dude, that's why you were so like chatty with me earlier. You were just like talking with me and like all smiles and everything. He's like, I'm like, this dude just went to the doctor a couple times. He had a fever earlier this week. He got back from a business trip last week. This guy's talking about how he's run down, but he's all smiles today. What's up with him? What's he got planned?
what plot do I
What
have?
plot is he doing against me?
And then Rick in the chat says Lucas Bryant from Haven would make a good role, and I'm
I
pulling
haven't
him.
watched Haven.
Yeah, I haven't either. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I've would know him. Dude, I
Dirty Mike says he wouldn't complain about weekly releases from us.
Yeah, I honestly, I just think that like realistically, there's no other way to go about it. To be honest.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pull up Lucas Bryant too.
Yeah, I'm looking at Agents of Shield.
Who's he in that?
Agent Keller. He hasn't really done a ton.
Dude, he looks like Chris Pine.
He's done a CSI. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot. Everyone, get your Dreamcastings ready.
It's gonna be ready.
And bring those on the 31st for the year-end bash. We're gonna have a good time. Dreamcasting. We could have further prognostications and theories and everything else
And
that
thoughts
goes
that
along
have
and
come
thoughts.
up.
Because I mean, you literally you just had this dropped on you 50 minutes ago. So me, I've had all day, but you've got some stuff to go through your head a little bit. And
Yeah.
let it fully sink in that Mike Flanagan,
Oh,
sir.
he's the guy that was in Beauty and the Beast. He was
No.
no.
And not only does Mike Flanagan have the rights to the Dark Tower, but it was blessed to him from Stephen King. That's the other big thing
Yes.
I don't think we should lose sight of there. His outline impressed. And also, dude, him saying that the pilot is one of the favorite things he's ever worked on. Dude, some of the stuff he's worked on,
Has been pretty
dude,
amazing.
like, let's just put that against anything in Haunting of Hill House, especially that episode 6, that fucking amazing killer episode. That's hard. So I'm excited to see what Flanagan has in store. Let's all be positive and hope that someone picks this up sooner than later, and we get this on the way.
All right. So I don't have my laptop. I have this written down in the laptop. Who's ZT again?
Zach.
Thanks for the emergency fix. Rick says it was the tall, thin, and piercing blue eyes. That's not wrong. And then he also says later, Joe Hill basically has to play King.
We talked about that for the
we talked
Mazzaro
about
one.
that, yeah.
I showed that one picture that was like, that's not Stephen King.
No.
Like, because I feel like if you would put in like a black and white filter on that Joe Hill picture, I could have just passed it off to you and said, here's a picture of Stephen King from 1973, and you would have totally bought it.
Yeah. And then Joseph says, I think I'll put some fresh batteries in my cymbal monkey to celebrate the news with a monkey emoji. And Dirty Mike says Joe Hill should definitely play King.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. We've always heard rumors that King maybe wants him to move away from that.
Yeah.
What if it turns into like a Flanagan?
Dude, he'd do it for Flanagan.
Flip it on its head where it's like Flanagan that
He would that wants it.
No, Flanagan's the character that Roland and them.
Flanagan is who it is. It's not King, it's Flanagan.
Yeah.
Or Flanagan's playing King.
That's what I mean. Take out King and put Flanagan in that role because it's all about that breaking the fourth wall type. Like what the fuck? But I do hope that it's King though. I know some people shit on that. I think even King has some apprehensions about it now. But I think they're all wrong.
Yeah.
Including King is wrong. I think that's one of the coolest things of the series.
Yeah.
So I want it to stay there, and I think Joe Hill would be a great pick. I mean, you could even get Uncle Stevie himself.
Rick asked, "Are we still going to hit him with a truck?" It wasn't a truck; it was a van.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's the emergency episode. I think. Went about an hour. That's what I figured. Go through this, have some reaction, see Peter squeal in excitement and happiness, and have some initial gut check, knee jerk reactions. But a ton more to talk about at the year end bash.
Yeah.
And I really do hope, man, imagine in the next, like I said, couple months, if we were to see that it's locked up by a studio, that would be amazing.
Yep.
So that's what we're hoping for. Got some squeals in the chat there. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining us. Gentlemen and ladies, I guess I shouldn't say guys. I say guys as a gender neutral term,
it's like
but
dude is gender neutral.
But that's not in
for
every
us.
location though. Only some states do that way. So yeah, everyone involved, thank you guys all for being here. I don't want to read through the names. There's a lot of people that were here with us today.
Here. Especially a lot of first timers. Welcome.
Yeah,
thanks
some
for
first timers.
Thanks for chatting. We love it, but it's okay if you don't want to. We understand lurking is a
I'm a lurker in a lot of places, so I
I
totally get it.
I
totally get it. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining us, and we will be back in a week. A week and 2 days for our last book club of the year. Because yes, we will do that book club. We'll sit on all this stuff, and on the year-end bash, we are going to have one hell of an episode and talk about more predictions, hopes, dreams, expectations, excitements of the Mike Flanagan Dark Tower series.
Yeah, Rick says in the chat, LOL, fun show, guys. Just came across the podcast and site on Twitter. King, constant reader for nearly 30 years now. That's awesome, Rick.
Awesome.
Like, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications for when we're going live here on YouTube. And then check out our website. It's darktowerpalaver.com. We have a survey on there on the right side.
I think so, yeah.
For
first-time listeners.
First-time listeners, you can fill out all the questions, some of the questions, and then email them into us at darktowerpalaver.
And it's not like a survey where like mining data from you. It's just basically it's some fun questions to answer.
How did you read Did you read Stephen King first? Did you read the Dark Tower first?
Yeah,
stuff like that to get to know you. But yeah, email it into us. It's darktowerpalaver@gmail.com. Everyone else knows all that already, but still,
the new listeners.
You got a couple weeks plus a couple days. Dreamcasting.
Yeah, Dreamcasting.
It's back. Flanagan is go.
And everyone could probably Google like Mike Flanagan regulars because yes, I am going to make that a thing. I will have slides for the Mike Flanagan regulars and say, hey, where are we fitting these people in? We all know who they are. Like I just watched Haunting a Hill House, so it's like the young dad, Theo,
the mom.
No, the mom's not really in a whole lot else.
No, it's his wife.
His wife's Theo.
Yeah,
as an adult.
His wife.
The gardener guy. He has the dude and the dog in Midnight Mass.
Yep.
He's been in a lot, and he was also one of the True Knot and Darks. He's been in a lot of them. Mm-hmm. He'll be one of them. We could also talk about even maybe not all-time regulars, but someone like Rose the Hat that he's used. Rebecca Ferguson. I would
baseball boy Jake.
He might. I mean, he's maybe pushing the age a little bit at this point.
Fine, Eddie.
There is a gap there.
Fine, Roland.
But you guys are awesome. Thank you guys all for joining us. We will be back in 1 week and a couple days for our last book club of the year. We are the Deans are at Blaine right now, and Roland is about to enter the room to save Jake from Gasher and his gaggle of goons.
Gaggle of goons. Say
and
that
then
5 times fast.
And then we 2 weeks after that for the year-end bash, which is literally on New Year's Eve, we will be here live, and we will be talking all things Mike Flanagan's Dark Tower that is coming, hopefully. Of course, there's some other steps that need to be had, but we're hopeful that Mike Flanagan's Dark Tower is coming our way. So we will sign off as we always do, guys, by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.